Look, I've been getting a lot of pelters after being positive after Man United's 1-0 win over Partizan Belgrade. I saw the positives in United's first away win since March. Others, fairly, focused on the actual performance itself and not the result. And let's be honest, United were pretty gash. We didn't have a shot on target other than the penalty against Partizan. But that's what football's all about. Different opinions, and I focus on the positives, other people focus on the negatives. But one positive I really want to focus on from the last two games against Liverpool and Partizan is the switch in formation that Solskjaer has done, and why I think it's what needs to be used between now and the end of the season if there's really going to be a positive spin on this season as a whole. I want to explain exactly why in this video. If you are new to United People's TV, make sure you subscribe. But let's get into this one. Now, Solskjaer has said that injuries have effectively forced his hand into switching to a 5-3-2 or 3-5-2, however you want to say it, and moving away from the 4-2-3-1 formation, which for me has stifled United all season long. That's a little bit worrying. I would like Solskjaer to have made that tactical switch himself rather than been forced with injuries, but a bit like Rashford coming on against Midtjylland because Martial injured himself in the warm-up. Sometimes injuries can allow you to find positives and changes that you didn't know you needed. Although every single United fan knew that we needed to switch away from the 4-2-3-1. It just didn't work. Two holding midfielders, an isolated striker, no creative force in midfield. It just didn't work for United. And I think we've seen against Liverpool, certainly, and against Partizan, although the chance creation wasn't there, the movement at least was better in this formation, and that's why I think we've got to absolutely stick with it. Before I get into explaining exactly why, I want to thank OneFootball for sponsoring this video on United People's TV. If you haven't already downloaded the OneFootball app, there is a link in the description. It's free, and on there you can get all of your latest United news, all your latest match reports, individual stats, team stats, transfer news, everything about United in one platform. It really is a fantastic app, and there is a link in the description. I use it personally for stats and quite a lot of stuff like that because I'm interested in it. So make sure you follow the link in the description, download the OneFootball app. It will help United People's TV as well. But let's talk about this 3-5-2 formation and what I think the best 11 would be for that formation. If everybody was 100% fit, this is the starting 11 I would play with that team. Now, if there's one strength that this squad has got at the moment, I'd probably say it's at centre-back, with Maguire, Lindelof and Tuanzebe. Three top-draw centre-backs, I would say, that all need to improve, absolutely, in their own rights and individually. But as a collective, it seems to be working for United at the moment. It seems to be one of the strengths that this squad has. It's certainly not in attack, is it? So playing this formation allows you to play all three of them. Maybe that's a bit of a risk in terms of injuries, but that's what I would do. And at wing-back, you would have Brandon Williams at left wing-back, and you would have Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right wing-back. I think we've now seen enough from Williams to know that he's the best left-back choice that we've got at the club and that he's ahead of Luke Shaw and Ashley Young. And playing as a wing-back allows that defender to go forward with a little bit less responsibility because he knows he's got three centre-backs who are covering the spaces behind them. And Tuanzebe certainly got the pace to cover as well, although maybe he would play on the right-hand side behind Wan-Bissaka. Again, the forward runs. That's what these wing-backs would offer to this team, and real width that we don't have at the moment. And if we do have, it's just not working because the striker up front is isolated, or was isolated, in a 4-2-3-1. Now, the crucial aspect, I think, for this formation to actually work, because, you know, as good as the work rate was against Liverpool and the overall performance, you're looking at these two games, again, we're not creating enough. And it doesn't matter what formation United have at the moment, we're not creating enough. I'm not saying that I'm happy with the standards of football at the moment, but I'm seeing the positives in actually nearly beating Liverpool after a 17-game unbeaten streak and going away to Serbia and finally winning a damn away game and keeping a clean sheet in the process. There's so much that needs to improve, but I would rather focus on the positives right now, rather than the negatives. Have a go at me for that if you want. But in this formation, 3-5-2, Paul Pogba really is the key. And I think you could probably say that about every formation at United. But Pogba, we need him to be in there looking up and finding and looking for these runs that Williams will be making, that Wan-Bissaka will be making, and that the two strikers up front will be making. Because that's another big difference in this formation. Pogba himself will then finally have the runners that he needs to find those balls in behind. And that's not happening in a 4-2-3-1, which is far too static. And up front, this formation would allow us to play Martial and Rashford together. And I think Rashford and James would switch and be rotated. Martial, out of the two, is the better quality striker. So he'll come back in as soon as he's fit and he'll start. But Rashford has really struggled as an isolated striker. We've had Dan James on the left in good form. Whoever's playing on the right wing, Pereira, I put him in at the number 10 here, which I think is probably his best position, but clearly still a weak point in this squad. And someone like Bruno Fernandes, or now hopefully James Maddison, can change that. It should have been changed in the summer, but it wasn't. So we've got to deal with what we have. And I think playing two up front takes a little bit of responsibility away from Rashford because he's got a partner up there. It's much harder to play as a striker individually than it is in a partnership. And just like other partnerships have worked previously, this one will allow Rashford to have somebody to play off. It will mean increased movement for someone like Pogba to find the runs in behind. We're just not creating enough chances with a 4-2-3-1. It's because two holding midfielders means there's too much space up front and not enough players filling those gaps. Playing this means you're going to get overlapping wing-backs. You're going to get two strikers who stay central. And so often this season you've seen Dan James bursting on the wing. Nobody's in the middle. This formation will keep those strikers narrow because the space on the overlaps is being created by the wing-backs rather than anybody who's an attacker. And I just think it plays more to the strengths of our team currently than a 4-2-3-1 does. A 4-3-3 might do a similar job. But right now, the 3-5-2 has worked in the last two games. It hasn't been pretty. It certainly wasn't pretty in the Partizan game. It was gritty against Liverpool, and it worked. We shut down their space and we created our own spaces. But against Norwich, it's going to be another tough test for a team who beat City at home this season, but also a team that was pumped 5-1 by Aston Villa. United need momentum this season, and we've genuinely got an opportunity here to build it. A draw against Liverpool, finally winning away from home against Partizan, and going into the Norwich game, if we can stick to this formation, I think we'd have a chance of winning again. But if Solskjaer reverts to the 4-2-3-1, we can, I think, kiss goodbye to any sort of momentum that we built. It might not be pretty, and I keep saying this, but we need baby steps. The standards have dropped so much that even that performance against Partizan, not the performance, sorry, the result, was a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. Now, so many of you disagree with me on that, but Solskjaer and United just need results at the moment. We're that low that we can't really focus on the performance as much. Once the results start to come in, that's when you can start to fine-tune the performance. But for me, having three at the back of 3-5-2 is absolutely crucial if United are going to get that momentum and start heading in the right direction this season. There really are so many reasons to be negative about United this season. So many more negative reasons than positives. But as I said in this video, I've seen positives in this switch in formation, and Solskjaer needs to stick with it. It almost sounds like he's sort of walked into it because of injuries forcing his hand, but it's working a lot more than a 4-2-3-1 ever will. And as soon as Pogba comes back into it, I think we can see even more that we might start creating chances. We're still not doing that enough, but this formation would allow us to do it more. And it helps because it's more naturally sided towards a counter-attacking team, which again plays towards our strengths. Now let me know what you think about this formation in the comments below, and let me know where you stand on this whole negative or positive look on the Partizan game. As I said, I'm getting pelters on Twitter for what I said after the game. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't agree with me, but one thing I think we can all agree on is that 4-2-3-1 doesn't work, and hopefully this 3-5-2 formation will be the start of something a little bit more exciting going forward, and certainly in creating chances. Let me know what your starting 11 would be, what your best formation would be, and what you think about United at the moment. Let me know in the comments.